Feel pressure change.
What's going on, everybody? My name is TAETRO, and I just spent an entire weekend at NAMM, and it was an amazing time, but it was a lot.
I like that one.
I want to talk to you guys about some of the highlights, some of the gear I tried, some of the brand new gear announcements. But before I do, why don't I just do a quick explainer about what NAMM actually is. For 4 days out of the year, people from all over the world in different facets of the music industry descend upon the Anaheim Convention Center in California. There are seemingly endless halls of gear, performances, and talks. It's massive. You have musicians of all genres and ages, and I would bet no matter what part of the music industry you come from, there are people there that you would consider celebrities, either giving talks, doing a show, or just checking out the show floor themselves. It's also a great spot to meet up with people who do what you do. So for me, there were lots of other music YouTubers there who I've been subscribed to forever and whose videos I love, and I finally got to meet them in person. Brands also take this as an opportunity to announce new gear. So UAD announced their new DAW Luna, even though they don't want to call it a DAW, they want to call it a system. Akai announced the MC1, and Arturia announced the Keylab 88 as well as the Kboard Pro. But beyond all the gear that's being announced at the show, there's also all the cool gear that maybe has been out for a little while that you haven't had a chance to get hands-on with, and there's demo stations so you can try it out. There's also a chance that you'll just stumble upon some gear that you've never heard of before, and you get to try that out at NAMM. So that's just like an elevator pitch version of what NAMM actually is. And now I want to talk about some of my highlights of the show. And as you could probably tell from that pitch and some of that footage, there's a ton going on, and I'm sure there's tons of videos out there on the one specific piece of gear that you want to hear about. So I definitely suggest you look those things up, because I'm just going to talk about a couple of things that I found interesting and that I think subscribers of this channel will also find interesting. All right, so first off, Artifon, the people who make the Instrument One, hooked me up with an artist pass. So thank you so much, Artifon. But I got to go there for the purpose of demonstrating their new Orba controller. If you don't know, Orba is a Bluetooth MIDI controller that fits in the palm of your hand. It just got fully backed and then some on Kickstarter, and I'm pretty excited about it. I had already got to try it out at an Artifon event in New York, but here at NAMM, I just made beats for a whole hour at their booth. So like I said, it's a Bluetooth MIDI controller. When you look at the face of it, it's kind of divided up into 8 pieces of a pie with a center button. It's a capacitive touch, so it's not like pushing in a key or pressing a button. It's literally a hard surface that senses your touch, almost like a phone screen. It has its own synth and drum sounds and a looper built right in, so you can use it standalone. It's also got a speaker built right into it as well as a headphone jack, or you can use it with your DAW, which is how I've been using it. It being so small it can fit in your hand, it's also got great gesture control, so you can move it around, shake it, spin it,
hey, pop it. Twist it,
and assign that to different parameters in your DAW. It's not just monophonic either, so aside from having different modes like lead and bass, it also has a chords mode. So the gestures are pretty intuitive. Hold the A button in the middle and then select the slice that has the function you want, like chords, and then the 8 slices become 8 chords in a scale degree. It almost works like smart chords on the Instrument One, where if you play 1 fret, it'll play a chord in that scale all the way up the fretboard. Same thing around the Orba. The other great thing about this is it's debuting at $89, and like I said, their Kickstarter just got fully funded, and they're taking reservations if you weren't part of the Kickstarter. Link is in the description. The MPC-1, I don't have a ton of thoughts on this. I've played an MPC Live before, and I've done some videos with it, and the software inside the MPC-1 is basically that same software as the MPC Live. That workflow didn't really work too well for me when I tried it, and it is cool to have a unit in that form factor that, you know, it's still a little bulky, but love the idea of this new generation of MPCs. It doesn't have a battery in it, which is kind of disappointing, so hopefully there'll be some solution for USB power or something like that in the future. All right, next up, Beatbox. This is an example of one of those things that I just stumbled upon and I had no idea was at the show and I had never heard of before. Essentially, if you took Nintendo Labo, that cardboard crafting system, and then combined it with MIDI Fighter, you get Beatbox. So it's made out of cardboard, but it has its own built-in speakers and it's got the fighter button hardware, and you build it yourself. I met up with the folks who made it and they gave me a whole overview.
Anyways, yeah, so you have supports built in underneath the faceplate, so it doesn't really sink. It stays up pretty well. All these arcade buttons are just quick connects to the mainboard. Yeah, so we got speakers built in. We got
Speakers. Was the sound that I was just hearing coming out of the box?
Yeah, that's what it was shaking the whole time.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. You got the battery built in here to drive the speakers as well. You got the individual breakout boards for the little boxes.
Nice.
Yep.
Are these the color? Do you guys do people customize the colors, or
So
is
we
that
have
like?
3 colorways. That's right here.
Oh.
Those 3.
Because this is all played back at 44.
I really love how accessible this is at $139, and from a teaching perspective, not only do you have an activity based around building and the components of the actual thing, but then they're developing an app that's going to be available for iOS, Android, and Chrome, which is huge for students that get Chromebooks for school. The app seems to have the things that you would need from an MPC style app. You can record and edit samples from directly within the app, and you can link it with your Google Drive, which is super convenient if you have other sample libraries that you want to sync with it. I had a lot of fun with it, and I hope to bring you some more content with the Beatbox really soon. The MC101 from Roland. So this is a little groove box, not unlike the Novation Circuit, but it has a screen, and I would say it has a little bit of a broader sound capability to it. While I didn't go too deep with it, I sat through a demo walkthrough where I learned a couple of really interesting things that are making me consider getting one. The first one being that the performance effects are awesome. So basically that's the beat stuttering, the filter effects, the timing effects, holding down one pad to do those things over your track, but each one of those effects also being able to be edited. It just was really deep, and the dude from Roland that was demoing it made the point that this kind of stuff is really hard to do in a DAW, like automating all those things. And that's one cool thing about groove boxes is you work differently than you do with your traditional DAW setup. The second thing I learned is that despite the MC101 only having 4 tracks, that doesn't necessarily mean you're limited to 4 instruments. So they use a clip system similar to Ableton Live Session View. So if you can imagine a single track in Ableton Live with multiple clips in it, those clips usually hold different musical ideas. On the MC101, not only can they hold different musical ideas, but they can hold different sounds. So track 1 could go from being a bass in one clip to being a pad or a lead in another clip. So it's one way to work out the limitations of a 4-track groove box. I thought that was really cool. Those were definitely 2 major selling points for me that are pushing me in the MC101's direction. Then we've got the Kboard Pro 4 from Keith McMillan. If you're a fan of my Kboard block videos and you just like MPE capable controllers, you should definitely give this a look. It's a total different feeling than a Kboard, so if that's one of the drawbacks for you, like the squishiness of a Kboard, that isn't there on this. This is more of a firm surface, closer but not quite to like a Launchpad X's pad, but it makes vibrato really easy and sliding up and down super easy as well. I like the feel of it. There's still a little bit of a playing adjustment to be made, just like with the Kboard block, but I don't think if you're coming from traditional keyboard that the learning curve is as steep as it is with the Kboard block. Okay, last thing. I was walking through the show floor one morning and the guys at Advanced Sound Group pulled me over and they were telling me they're big fans of the channel, and then they asked me if I wanted to get fitted for in-ear monitors. Now I've never even used in-ear monitors or been fitted for in-ear monitors, so I figured, hey, why not? Let's go for it. Basically, they fill your ear with a bunch of goop.
Oh, okay. You feel pressure change.
Oh. While you bite down on this thing,
You're gonna get ready for the kids I drool.
and it's just such a bizarre feeling, and you stop hearing everything because your ear gets completely blocked and filled with goop. Meanwhile, you're on the show floor of NAMM, sitting in front of everybody walking by with this thing in your mouth, and then you start drooling.
There you go.
Because you have to keep your mouth open to keep your ear canals the same shape. I don't know how it works, but it was a lot of fun, and I'm really excited to try my first in-ear monitors. But stay tuned, because when they come in, I'm definitely going to be making a video on how they are. Thanks so much to Advanced Sound Group for pulling me aside and doing all that. All right, so that was my NAMM 2020 experience. What do you think? Did you go to NAMM? Let me know in a comment down below. And even if you didn't go to NAMM, let me know what announcements were most exciting to you. What do you actually want to try? And what do you think I should try and bring to this channel? Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy. And don't forget to subscribe for more live electronic music performances, tutorials, and content to make you a more productive producer. Thank you so much for watching. This has been TAETRO. Have a good one.
Don't
Don't talk.
Oh, okay.